Hey everybody, Pastor K here. It's Freedom Friday. You know what's next. This morning we go to 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. It says, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." In this passage, the Apostle Paul is talking about a situation, a moment that he had with God. In the previous verses, Paul says that in order so that he couldn't boast, he says that God gave him, depending on the translation, it may say a thorn in my side. One translation says a handicap, a limitation, an infirmity. So we don't know what it is. Paul doesn't go into that, but he says that God gave him something, whether it was a sickness, some type of physical handicap, we don't know. But he says that God gave him something, and he says that he prayed that God would remove it. He said, I prayed 3 times that God would remove this. And then we get to verse 9 here where he says, but he said to me, he says, God said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in your weakness. And then Paul resolves, he said, therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power would rest in me. So I want to encourage you today on this Freedom Friday. Our theme today is freedom to embrace your limitations. Freedom to embrace your limitations, whatever that is. Maybe you do have a sickness in your body. Maybe there is something that you are dealing with health-wise, and you're praying about it, and you're like, God, why won't you just take this? You are definitely powerful enough. You are definitely able to just remove this sickness. But God wants you to find something else in it. He wants you to find his grace. He wants you to find his peace. He wants you to find his rest. He wants you to stop stressing about it, because there's nothing more that you can do. See, there are things that are brought in our lives that are brought to show us just how much we need God. And so there are some things that, yes, we can control, and we can get our hands in, and we can work to make it all the better. But there are some things that no matter how much you pray about it, no matter how much you work to try to fix it, it's not going to be fixed, because that's not God's intention for that. There are some things that God wants to deliver us from, absolutely. But there are some things that God wants us to find him in the midst of. Not necessarily the deliverance from it. He wants us to find him in it and rest in his grace. His grace will deliver us. It may not necessarily make the thing go away. Whatever it is, it may not make it go away, but it's going to change your mindset in it. This is what happened to Paul. His mindset had to change in the midst of his situation. And so there are some situations where our mindset needs to change. Our situation may not change, but God wants to change our mindset. Remember, this is all about relationship. God desires relationship with us. So he desires for us to rely on him and understand his grace is sufficient. God is saying to somebody today, my grace is enough. Who I am is enough. It may not bring everything into perfection for you. It may not line everything up, but my grace is enough. That's what God wants you to know today, is that his grace is enough. So you are free to embrace these limitations. We live in a society where we don't want to be limited by anything. There's a drug out called the limitless drug. It's supposed to be made with various things that's supposed to tear down any limitations mentally. You'll be able to think better and be better, be stronger and all that. God's like, embrace the limitation, and then embrace the fact that my grace is all you need in this time. All right? So you are free today to embrace your limitations and let God's grace make you perfect, and let his power rest on you. That's it for today, guys. The Freedom Friday message. Have a great day and a great weekend on purpose. Talk to you real soon. God bless.